I think we can afford 2 wigs. Yeah,
you know,
come on.
I'll lend you
Harry
some
Potter.
money.
Yeah.
So I got a wig, and they had me in a suit. And I said, can I wear like a cape and fur and stuff? And so they lent me they said, well, we've got a suit for you to try on and show the director, Chris Columbus. And I said, well, can I just borrow? And I took a curtain. And I wrapped a curtain around me. And I went down with like a tinfoil wig. And I went down to the set, and Chris Columbus was there directing something. And he said, the guy said, oh, we got Jason for a look. And he went, where? And I went, it's me. And he went, what's on your head? And I said, imagine, if you will, a long blonde wig. And he went, did you see the sketches? And I went, no, I get it, but I don't think he wants hair like a muggle. And he said, is that right? Is that a curtain? I go, it is, but imagine a cape. And he said, okay, sure, is that it? And I said, well, I was thinking a cane would be good. And I could pull my wand out of it and have a snake at the top. And he said, no. The wands just appear from anywhere. We don't know where there's like this, that's the conceit. I said, I know, but I was thinking mine could appear from my cane. And he took about 3 seconds and he went, I think the toy guys are going to love you.
Oh, wow.
But all of that came from terror. Dude, because I've heard you in Liverpool, and what you're doing is the Beatles. Now, the Beatles talked like that originally, but then they wanted to sound like they came from California, so they started leaning back on it. But that's not a Liverpool accent. So let's start with Liverpool, where I come from.
All right, Liverpool, here we go.
One of the haute cuisine dishes you get is chicken and chips. Can you do chicken and chips?
Chicken and chips.
Chicken and chips.
Chicken and chips.
Now, like half an hour away is Manchester, where the Oasis come from. Come from there. Can you do that? Oasis? Right.
Sorry. Yeah.
So the accent in Manchester, Yorkshire, comes from when they had factories, and that to be heard over the over the conveyor belt. Can you over-articulate like that?
So over-articulate.
Go a little bit further north. That's very good. You need some orthodontist work. But anyway, now Sting, the famous thing, he's from Newcastle, where they sing like that. Now, most of the sentences go like that and then end up in the air like that. Can you do that?
Oh, yeah. Do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that?
Having to share a screen with Alan Rickman. And then I came up with a voice, I thought the most irritating voice I could think of, that made you just hear a syllable and want to punch him in the That was the idea.
No!
Yeah. And so I tried it out in the first rehearsal, and Chris Columbus went, OK, Jason, look, I went with the thing and the thing and the thing, but, like, I'm American, but has there ever been anybody in the world that ever, like in England or anywhere, that ever spoke like that? And I said, no, but it's a film about wizards, after all. And he said, I don't know. And Daniel, God bless him, said, I think it's kind of cool, actually. I think people do that in playgrounds. Chris went, all right, let's go with that.
Daniel Radcliffe.
And every take we did after that, for the next couple of years, Chris would come up and go, fantastic, we have it, it's wonderful. So one more. Can you pull back on the accent like 80, 90%?
Just a little oomph.
No, we go 80, 90%.
80, 90%. Yeah. Pull back on the accent 80, 90%. That's funny.
You know, and then I moved around a lot.
I didn't know this.
I went to London when I was a kid. I was very self-conscious about talking like that because that's, you know, people make fun of you. So I went very Jason Statham overnight. I went to university. They all sounded like Hugh Grant, so I went double-barreled, you know. And so I thank God my social weakness has turned into, I can monetize it slightly because it's a bit of a disease. You know?
Oh, I didn't even know that you could do so many.
I've heard you do many a voice.
I've tried, but I mean, I have a map here.
Well, where did that come from? How peculiar.
Well, I was just wondering.
Almost as if someone had talked about this before they came on the air.
I'm very prepared.
Let's have a little tour of the British Isles. Because what you may not know is in Britain, you open your mouth, everybody knows not only where you're from, but where you're from in terms of education, how you're trying to be perceived and stuff. So you're so talented. Accents, which are music, after all, I've heard you sing. No. I thought maybe we'd do a tour of the British Isles and see if you can... But anyway, there we go.
That is how you do it. Jason Isaacs, that is how you do it. Thank you for doing that.
I love Don Cheadle. I hope it's a cheap gag, John.
He loves it. He's got to get I got to say also, one of the characters that everyone loves that you've done is the Lucius Malfoy.
Him.
And him. Harry Potter is a big deal. Yeah. When you start creating a popular character like that, where do you begin? Where do you start?
Honestly, or for the television show?
Honestly.
Honestly, I myself. That's what happened.
Yeah.
Because Alan Rickman was already in the first film. Alan Rickman never was a man better at playing sinister than him.
Fantastic.
And so I went. They had me in a suit with short hair like me. You know, when I saw the sketches, and I went and I said I need a wig. They went, well, Dumbledore wears a wig, and I went, it's a one-wig film, the Harry Potter. This is the last interview. I think I can tell you, I was wearing a prosthetic tongue to do this.
Oh, was it? Your tongue is not real.
Durham, North Carolina is hard to get your lips around because my real tongue is small, green, shriveled, and shaped like a pretzel.
Okay, perfect. Yes, genius. But how is it getting that accent down?
Well, it's weird because Durham, North Carolina doesn't sound like South Carolina. It doesn't sound like Charleston. It doesn't sound like anywhere else. But people all over the internet were going, this accent, he sounds Australian, sounds English. Actually, they've got two vowel sounds that are English. So there are a couple of sounds like the O sound. That's why I was going Piper, no, and I say, I love you so much. That's a weird English sound, right? And
yes.
the R sound is also, but I love an accent. And I've been to Durham quite a lot. You know, I was in South Carolina shooting The Patriot, and I played golf around there. And so lots of people on the internet going, he doesn't sound Southern at all. He doesn't sound Texan. I know I don't sound Texan because I'm not meant to be from Texas.
Yes.
But people from Durham were writing going, that's weird. He sounds exactly like my dad. Or like
yes, exactly right.
But
you nailed it.
I'm from Liverpool, so I grew up talking like that. That's my natural accent. But Phil, all good creative things come from terror, don't they?
They always come from terror, yeah. Let's talk White Lotus. You were just so phenomenal, and I feel like you're almost doing almost like, I know it's a great cast, but your scenes are almost like a one-man show because I felt so bad.
He doesn't connect with anyone. He's so lonely and terrified.
He's by himself. Even when he's with his family, he's by himself.
Drugged out of his head into a stupor, and then there was work.
But I mean, you do it very well because it's subtle. It's subtle.
Honestly, I called my brother's a psychiatrist, and I called him and I said, Jeff, what happens if you chug lorazepam? And he went, you're asleep. And I went, okay, not that helpful. What about
what if I'm
not asleep? He goes, you're falling asleep. And I went, again, it's a television show. He went, then you're on your own. So I phoned Mike and I said, I'm really worried about being the boring idiot in the corner falling asleep. And he went, don't worry, it'll be fine. I think what he meant was, I'll just cut away from you if you want.
No, yeah.
So I just had to be the guy, think and trust Mike's brilliant storytelling and be terrified of my life and losing my reputation and that my wife and my children are never going to survive and hope that the audience got that and got how I was on the edge of total collapse,
We totally did. Everyone got it. Everyone loved it. Happy. Oh, we're so happy. White Lotus is the most watched season of the show. Broke all sorts of viewing records. I want to get into. Yeah, it was great. I want to get into everything. Everyone's.
I'm not going home. It's fine.
Go good. Hang out here.
Sure.
Everyone's obsessed with the Ratliff family since the very beginning. I mean, we also love the accents. Parker Posey was here talking about it. Your accent. It's a North Carolina.
You're being very generous. The internet was concerned with two things: my penis and my accent.
Yes, that's correct. Well, I was going to get to that. Yeah.
This is. That's very, very good. Now, let's jump down south. Birmingham, the most polluted city in the world for a long time, the heart of the Industrial Revolution. They all got like sinus infections, so generations later on, they can't really breathe through the nose like that. Can you do that?
Oh, that's interesting.
So I've got huge...
Like that? But do it like that?
I'm slightly worried you're having a stroke on air.
Oh, no, sorry, but it happens every night.
Let's jump up to Glasgow, right?
Okay.
Because I've heard you're Scottish. It's fantastic. So I'm a huge fan of yours on The Tonight Show. Who's that?
That's great.
Let's hear it.
I'm a huge fan. Huge fan of yours of the White Lotus.
Jump across to Belfast and The Tonight Show is almost exactly the same, Mr. Carson, but not quite.
Thank you. The Tonight Show, yeah, not quite. Is it? No. Is that terrible? Sorry.
Now I feel this is cruel.
No, I'm not being right.
So, but what you can do, if you put them all together in a sentence, you sound a little bit like Don Cheadle in Ocean's 11.
I felt so bad, and I go, oh my gosh, and then
miserable. I'll be honest with you, the shooting was great. I love the people I work with, but he's very, very miserable. Acting isn't really pretend, as you know. You try and be the thing as best you can.
Yeah.
We just did a little sketch backstage. You know what you're doing. And,
thank you. Yeah.
And I was really lonely and miserable as him.
That last scene on the boat, when you're talking to them,
that's a different
and you go, hey guys, we're gonna have to get through this. Like it's gonna be.
I think he's gonna be all right. At that point, he's so stressed out by his whole life. You don't realise that before he got there. He's the only guy that doesn't want any kind of spiritual enlightenment. He just wants to work out and overeat most of the time. But he's the guy, ironically, because Mike's such a brilliant writer, who is brought face to face with his essential self. He loses everything that he is. Yes. His reputation, his money, his power, his status in the family. And when the monk tells him that you rejoin water, you're a droplet alone in the rest of life, and he takes some comfort from that on the boat. He thinks, you know what? Thank God I'm just an ordinary person and I'm not better than anybody else. And it's not a message show, it's a brilliant show, but his bit of the story is a beautiful thing. And he looks at these people who are not going to be able to survive. I don't know. They're all going to have to get jobs. I want to see Victoria. I want to see Parker Posey cleaning a toilet somewhere.
Yes.
But he looks at them and he thinks, this is exactly what you need. You're going to be all right. And there's something incredibly beautiful about that, I think.
I thought it was phenomenal. You were so perfect. It was great. Great job. I want to show a clip. Here's Jason Isaacs in The White Lotus. Take a look.
No. Dude, it's what? Coconut milk's off.
Yeah.
Coconut milk's off. The coconut milk is off.
Okay, the coconut milk is off.
No. Don't drink it.
All good.
Okay. I'll see you. I'll see you in the morning.
Whoa, come on. Cheers to a great season. I thought we could have a toast. Jason Isaacs, season 3 of The White Lotus is streaming now on Max. We'll be right back with something.